if it was for everybody, then you end up with, this kind of generic corporate slop or whatever, which there's plenty of in the world already. Doesn't need any more of it. So yeah, I'm happy to see both the good and bad opinions, the correct and the incorrect ones, obviously. Some
Uh,
people that don't like it are incorrect.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com. I'm making puns about guitar pedals and other shit today, but I am super stoked to be joined by Brett of Pallbearer. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How about
I
you?
I'm fantastic. And what else is fantastic is Mine Burns Alive, the new album from your band. We've spent a lot of time whatever we can do in the world to help support this band over this band has a very similar arc to our website, and we were zine first in Europe and then a webzine and now Ghost Cult the website. So like we've had like very similar arcs, and we've been lucky enough to cover your band all over the world, and I'm not surprised by the success of the band. I don't know if you are. I haven't been, but I always expected this band to be enormous, but like that's me and my little dreams, my little rock and roll dreams. What about you? How's it been for you? This record's been very well, acclaimed already. We love the record. Our own guy, Wil Cifer, gave it a 9. He's one of our best writers in terms of taste and diversity. So I wasn't surprised. But for you, how has it been? Album's out now as we record this. How's it go? How's it feeling for you?
Great, man. I saw y'all's review and I was very honored. I thought it was, it's nice to be so well received, and I thought it was a thoughtful write-up, so I appreciate that. But yeah, it seems like most people are into it. It's kind of polarizing, which I like. Like people either completely love it or fucking hate it, and I love that, that means you're making some kind of impact. It means it's making a very strong statement of what it is. If that lines up with your particular taste, then it's perfect for you. But if it doesn't, then you might hate it, which is totally fine. If it was for everybody, then you end up with, this kind of generic corporate slop or whatever, which there's plenty of in the world already. Doesn't need any more of it. So yeah, I'm happy to see both the good and bad opinions, the correct and the incorrect ones, obviously. Some
Uh,
people that don't like it are incorrect.
Well, so I appreciate that you actually thought our review was thoughtful. Thank you. I thought so too. As the editor of the site, I also see everything that goes up, and we have an editorial team that edits everything, and then I do the final take a look at it. I love we don't overuse a lot of. I like to think that we are one of the harder grading websites. That like to us, a 7 is not a bad record, but to somebody else, it's they
Oh,
yell at us in an email how catastrophic that grade is, and I'm like, yo, they can't all be 10s and bangers. Sometimes they're not, but I like that he used the word in the summary stunning, because I do feel like the music definitely stuns you. So you still read reviews, because I'm curious about this. I feel like some bands and publicists and labels feel like reviews are passe, maybe not important anymore because of the availability. Music wasn't always available 10 years ago, even 15, 20 years ago. We didn't have all these methods to get the music out. It was just terrestrial radio and a little bit of social media 15 years ago came along. So it's weird to me.
hmm.
I like hearing that you actually read the reviews still. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, I like reading reviews because I like to see what people think. We put so much time and effort and ourselves into our music, and it's great to see when somebody totally gets it, and it's also really amusing to see when people completely like don't get it. Like, people have been doing this since Heartless, but saying that we're like aiming for, hard rock radio, it's like these guys sound. I'm like, what sounds like us that is on the radio? If we were trying to go for hard rock radio, I don't think we'd be, or any kind of radio. Yeah, I don't think we'd be making what we're making. But it's funny to be compared to like Puddle of Mud. Like, is that really what you
Oh
think
my
we'd sound
god.
like?
Did
Like,
somebody say puddle of mud? That's crazy.
I saw it somewhere.
I hope they mean like no disrespect, because like people have their issues, right? We're all sensitive to that, but I really hope it's like drunken disaster puddle of mud, like puddle of mud
I
covering
hope it's that
Nirvana.
the Nirvana cover.
I
I'm
want
pretty
it to
sure.
be that bad, not like puddle of mud at their peak, and that's what they mean,
Yeah.
like blurry. I don't want that. Like I
No,
want
no, no.
disaster. I want the
I
gutter.
need it.
She
I'm pretty
fucking
sure I've
hates
sung some.
me.
Yeah,
Do you
pretty
know
sure I've
that's
done some shows that
that's
sounded
again?
pretty close to that, though.
Yeah, I don't want to bag on the dude, but like, do you know that story where Fred Durst came up to Courtney Love and is like, Courtney, I signed my Nirvana band, Puddle of Mud, and she smacked the shit out of him, supposedly? It's fucking great. I hope it happened. I hope it's
He
true.
deserved it.
I love Courtney Love, so I really, yeah,
Uh,
he did deserve it. But yeah, are we good
another
on your
sin that
video?
Fred Durst must pay for.
Yeah. Well, God, he's been must pay. I like Fred.
Yeah.
Fred's on my
No, he
bucket
seems
list.
cool.
Fred is
He
on my
seems like a
bucket
cool
list.
guy. He
Yeah.
claims that he was playing a character and then like people just resonated with that character. Like he was intentionally playing like a douchebag, like the
Yeah.
kind of people that bullied him in high school or whatever. And then people resonated with that character and he's just kind of stuck with it. But I
There's
don't
something to
know.
be said for
I
that.
saw an interview with him on like Tom Green years ago and he was like out of character and he seemed like a pretty chill guy. I don't know.
I would love to talk to Fred. I actually think most of the new metal bands were not jocks or bullies or bro dudes. They were all like weird
Hmm.
art goths and post punk guys and like fans of like First Ministry album and The Cure, and then their fans became the bully jock dudes. But I love new metal. I love some new
Hmm.
metal. Let's talk about Mine Burns Alive though, because I could go all over the place. I always love seeing you, and makes my brain go. Obviously, people are tripping out over, it's not like a stylistic shift completely. It's not like the band hasn't been going this way. You guys could do Stoner Doom till the cows come home. And you see this happening. Like, don't do the thing that's expected of you. Be different. Do something else to break away from the pack. Do something unexpected. When you're a band that has even high claim and praise, I'm sure there's some pressure. Like, do that again so you do that success again. Like, High on Fire didn't make another record to make a Grammy. They made another record because it was time for them to make another record. And I feel like it's the
Totally.
same thing with your band. And I feel like this is a logical progression. And it may be like the jarring thing is maybe it's the vocals, which I think are phenomenal. And we talked so much about it in our review and even just internally. We're like, listen to this vocal performance. This is a band trying to push the envelope of what they can do. It's like reminded me a lot of Mastodon and Crack the Sky. It's like, okay, we're gonna fucking go completely out of our bodies on this one, and maybe we'll
Mhm.
never be able to replicate it live, or maybe we're gonna have never do something exactly like this. But I feel like this is that moment for your band.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just always trying to push myself and change it up. Like I get very bored and with doing the same shit over and over. And, I don't know why people have expected us to one thing when we've like always changed. People still to this day are like, I miss Sorrow and Extinction. I wish they'd do that again. It's like Sorrow and Extinction is 5 songs that all sound really different from one another. So like, what do you want us to do? Because we've continued putting out stuff that sounds different than the rest of the other stuff. So like in a way we are still doing Sorrow and Extinction. It's just different. Like those 5 songs are different from one another. Like everything else we've done has been different, but it still sounds like the core of the band. So I find that kind of stuff like, if people were to try to quantify those statements, then like what do they want us to do? Like, do they want it to be just more stoner or like that's never really what we were. So I don't know what people want. So if you start trying to answer those questions, if you start trying to appeal to people who want you to do something that you did 15 years ago, you're just going to come up with an inferior version of whatever that one thing that they want another of is, because that's not where you are in life. 15 years ago, when we started writing those songs, I was like 20 years old and I'm 37. So I'm not going to write the same stuff. It's just I'm not there and I'm not interested in it. Like, do I still like writing heavy stuff? Yeah. Will I write more heavy stuff? Definitely. But like the way that it emerges is not going to be like it was when I was 20, 21 years old and barely could construct a song. Those songs took forever to make because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Like they took so long to write, and now it's like, there's a lot more experience under our belts, and what we're interested in making and what is challenging to us is different than it was 15, you know, plus years ago.
Right, and you have to be your first. You have to be your no, your own number one fan to keep this going. Otherwise, why would you keep doing it? Even if it was
Yeah,
successful and you could pay the bills doing it, which so few bands can do, and you obviously love doing it. I've seen you guys live countless times. I've been very fortunate all over the world, even. And if it wasn't stimulating to you, why would you keep doing it? You'd be like murderous for your soul,
exactly.
right? It'd just be
I'd probably get
terrible.
a job that pays. If I didn't love doing it, I'd, be doing something, pay a little more money. But yeah,
Facts.
it's fun. Like this, it's fulfilling and like getting to focus on making music like all the time it's almost like a sickness. It's a compulsion. So like I feel like it's just the only thing that I am interested in doing. So
Right. I was going to say, I said to you offline, I mentioned I was going to drop this into the interview. So I saw the band a year ago opened for Yob in Oakland, which was a magical day. And it was actually like a back-to-back. That's a shout out. I'm actually, it wasn't planned, but I did pick up this hat off the rack. This is the Oakland Underworld Metro hat, and they have concerts outside now because they haven't really reopened the Opera House since the worst of the plague. But these outdoor concerts are life, and we're having a couple more this summer, and I think sort of a West Coast Death Fest is going to happen in the fall. And
Cool.
yeah, I love, yeah, you know, obviously, like, we all worship Mike. He's one of the most wonderful people in ever to exist in art and music, and was a
Absolutely.
great show. And you played a song live that day, and it definitely was different than the rest of the set list. And people were like, wow. People were impressed around me. They were like, yo, that new song was crazy, right? I was like, it was crazy. And I
Probably
just
Emma's
like,
Place. I think we were playing that
yeah,
on that tour.
yeah, that was probably the one because it was long. It was Long Boy, and that's the longest track on the record, I think, by a second. And by 1 second.
Literally.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate, you know, like, no, I love the new Carrie King record, and the title track of the record is 333. I was like, couldn't you make it 666? Couldn't
Yeah.
you? 333 is a little it's only half on the nose, bro. But I like, yeah, like, you know, it's a great track, and I said, like, if this is the direction in my mind, I was to myself, if this is the direction you guys are taking the band, I'm all for it. And, you know, if people don't get it, they don't get it. But live, I've already heard it live, and it was really, you know, maybe it was the heat and I was going to pass out, but it felt like a transcendent experience. But it could also be the heat in Oakland. It
It could be. It could be.
could have been the 95 beers I had that day also, which wasn't smart.
That could.
But I'm
Yeah.
pretty soberish
Those are some
now.
strong ass beers too. There, that brewery.
You know,
You
it's
could get
funny
in
because
trouble.
there were two of these, there's two venues for some of these shows. They also have a brewery that's unaffiliated with the Opera House, but sometimes they do these shows a little deeper into West Oakland at I think it's Line 51 Brewery. And then you literally like go get the strongest craft beer in Oakland, or one of them, and then go see some metal. But like, yeah, it was a good day. They had some good beers on tap, a lot of local stuff. I love those shows. They were a lot of fun. You need to bring your cash with you because there's no cards at those things. But shout out to the folks that put those on. I hope there's more. I hope you guys will come back and play a less hot gig in one of our fine indoor venues in the summer or the fall. It was really nice. You know, it's like daring even to play a song live with everybody with social media and videos and YouTube and TikTok and all the crazy things. I thought it was like a really inspired idea to, hey, we're gonna just bust out a brand new song right now. And I think I try not to be a douche. I try to only record like a minute or two of a song and then stop because I don't want to be that guy holding my fucking phone up. But like, obviously it's for a purpose. I'm trying to help share and promote the bands. But like, I like that you did it, especially the choice to do that song, Try It Out Live. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, the song was done, and it's always more fun to play new stuff. And it's kind of one of those things where like you road test stuff a little bit, and well, although by then I think it was already recorded, so it
Well, I
was
always,
going to be what it was going to be by that point.
you know, it's weird because I always think about the 70s, right? And it's like, you know, all the great classic rock bands, except for the Dead, who were like, our thing is come record our shows. They change every show. We
Mhm.
jam the songs. They're never finished. What you hear on the record is completely different than live. But a lot of bands used to try to road test stuff, and then their stuff would get bootlegged, and like poor, or let's say not poor, but incomplete versions of the song would be out. Like this happened famously. The Pink Floyd played like a lot of Animals live on the Wish You Were Here tour, and then they regretted it a lot because like there were all these versions of those songs out in the world that they didn't like. So
I have like a bootleg of an earlier version of Animals that has like different vocal takes and just totally different mixes, some different synths, and it's just as good as the final version. It's just like a different version of the record. It's way more stripped down and like in a way like even darker sounding. It's really sick.
word, I love that record so much, and I'm gonna give you some extra props, man. I think like you're pulling. I don't know what the inspiration is for some of these. They're not new, but like new to everybody else's virgin ears. But I think like for you to step up your vocal game and try different things and different ranges and different, you know, like there's so a lot. Like 90% of all music is four notes, literally like you know, root third fifth octave.
Mhm.
Most music, maybe occasionally a little, you know, a little something else darker, but there is like a very beautiful round angelic tone to some of your stuff that reminds me of my hero David Gilmour.
Well, thank you, man. That's high praise. I love David
Yeah,
Gilmour.
yeah, man. What's not to love? Plus great guitar shit. I'm
One of the
excited for
best.
this solo album from him. But yeah, man, I don't know. Obviously, like you were trying to, the whole band was trying to step up their game. I don't know if it's just like this is the time or new. Shout out to Nuclear Blast. They've done a great job with the band since announcing the signing, and everything they've done for this release, to me as a journalist, has been first class for what I could tell. Again, mad props also to Monica at Speakeasy PR and everybody around the world that's worked this record for you. But yeah, I don't know if it just felt like an important record to you guys when you were making it, because it feels like an important record as a listener. They all kind of do, but like even more so now.
I mean, we put like 100% of ourselves into every record. Like, so I mean, I don't think it's any more or less important than any of our others, just because we put the same amount of effort. The circumstances of recording each one, I suppose, is different, and the way that this one ended up getting made it so that we put more time into this than anything that we've ever done, because of what happened with COVID and the nature of having to postpone and then like re-record. We tried to record in 2022 when you all got COVID and weren't able to finish it, and then so we postponed it for another year and then recorded it in 2023. Just by the nature of all that, like more hours have been put into these songs than anything else we've ever done. So yeah, I'd say like we treat each record with like the same amount of, I guess, intensity than. But yeah, this one was since we got to do a lot of it ourselves in our own like recording spaces. I think that had a big impact on how like much of like control, I guess. We had more control, inevitably means that it's more. I mean, we've had a lot of control on every album except Forgotten Days. We, hired Randall to produce in a way that a producer would, and we took his advice on the way that we approached the recording and everything. But like with every other record, we've done that, and so with Mine Burns Alive, we went back to that methodology on top of having our own recording space. So I think that really just helped us, realize it in a way that is more like us than ever before, just because, that power over it.
Fair enough, yo. Probably the aspect of the band that people probably don't appreciate as much as me is the lyrics. I'm a big lyrics fan. I'm a big vocals and lyrics person. I try to spend as much time as I can trying to understand meanings of songs and listen to things. So writing with Joe, songs that you guys do separately, songs that you guys collaborate on. Do you take each other's like lyrical parts? Do they all become one at a certain point when you share the writing, shared experiences, circumstances, characterizations, things like that? How do you guys collab lyrically? Do you just kind of finish each other's sentences at this point after a long time in a band?
Most of the time there's only a few songs we've ever collaborated on lyrically. We did Endless Place, in which he wrote most of the song, I guess, and then the later half of the song, like the silence but for the sound, that line up to the end of the song, is what I wrote. So really he had music for most of the song, but didn't have lyrics at that point. And so I was making a demo at home, just like tracking all the instruments on top of a drum take I think we had. I can't remember now. And so I just like wrote some lyrics and sent them to him to see if he liked them. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect." So it was kind of spontaneous. But that's the first time we've collaborated on lyrics since the first album, I guess. The first part of Foreigner lyrics, and I wrote the second half. Same deal. So, and that was flipped it. Like Joe wrote Endless Place, the song. He wrote the first half and I wrote the second half of lyrics, and I wrote Foreigner, the song, and he wrote the first half and I wrote the second half. So kind of flip flops there. So yeah, but and we've collaborated on other stuff like Worlds Apart, the song on Foundations. Like I think we just like flip flopped riffs. Like he wrote the first riff, I wrote the second riff, he wrote the third riff, I wrote the fourth riff. Just kind of like telephoned that song, but then he wrote the lyrics to the whole song. And with everything, like the whole band has input, even if Joe or I will write like the vast majority of a song, like usually some little detail like changes just from bringing it to the band. Like it's very rare that a song like, indistinguishable from the demos, it's very rare that happens. But that makes it's whatever elevates the song, like we always try to give everybody a opportunity to bring any kind of suggestions that they or ideas that they might have, and if they work, we use them. If they don't, we don't. So, but it's a pretty democratic kind of approach to.
Right on. I have never gotten to ask you this question before, so I'm excited about this one personally. Do you guys ever do we hear everything you guys wrote for an album? Do you throw away songs or store them for later if they're not working, or is this all there is? These tracks for Mind Burns Alive. There was nothing else considered.
Oh, there's a ton of other stuff. I mean, it's been like 6 years since these songs started being written. So yeah, there's a ton of there was another song that we were going to put on the album that was, I think, really good. We could never quite nail down the verse though, and it just felt like it was too long. Like our songs are long, but I don't think they ever feel long. And this one felt even longer than it was. I'm just like, we can't use this. And it was a little more, I don't know, too catchy. Like it was too good. It was too much of a like pop kind of aesthetic. I write every once in a while just these kind of poppy like banger type songs, and I'm just like, this would be great for another band, but people, it's just not quite right for Pallbearer. And there's some of those that kind of stuff on Forgotten Days, which some people love and some people really hate. So
Fucking
I don't
people.
think people really want. Yeah, fucking
That
people,
can't
man.
can't
They're good.
satisfy
They can write
them.
a
You
good
have some,
chorus.
yeah. You have some great fans. Every band does.
I have like a whole like folder full of like these shorter kind of like poppier songs. Maybe in a few years when I've collected enough, we'll just put out like a 30-minute album of nothing but singles, that everyone will absolutely hate.
do a digital only EP
Yeah,
and really infuriate everyone. I could
yeah,
see it. I could see it. I don't know. There's been, some bands just, like I said, you got to make yourself happy. I love this record. I can't understand if people don't why they don't love it, but what are you gonna do? You have to live your life and make yourself
totally.
happy. So a lot of touring on tap. But one thing that I always noticed about the band, especially the last, obviously we had the black hole of life and time in the world a few years ago where we all had a psychotic break at the same time, the whole world and everything in the music industry. But I have felt like the band has not overly done a ton of headline tours, and I feel like you always pick a lot of support slots and diverse bands and audiences and festivals. Of course, it's nice to get invited to, but I don't feel like you guys have done like extensive 3-4 months of headline tours only. And I was wondering if that's
Mhm.
kind of by design or if that's just how it's been.
I think it's just kind of how it's been. I mean, it's cool to play to bigger rooms, like, and I don't know, man, it's like we've just never quite broken past that like ceiling, and our music works well in a big room, and it's like spacious, so. And we've gotten asked to do some cool support slots, and if it's a band that we like and if the money's right, then we'll do that rather than, we do headline, but it's usually just smaller rooms, and it's cool to have, the amenities that come with bigger venues, like, showers and shit. But I mean, we're about to do a bunch of headlining shows this year, and then we're doing a support tour in Europe. So, but I think we haven't done. We did a sort of co-headlining show or tour with Elder in Europe last time we were there, like a few years ago. So this will have been the first support thing in Europe we've done in a while. Yeah, we're
Elder's
not, I'm not
another band.
against.
Elder's another band you guys have been like a lot in common with too.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're an awesome band and really funny dudes. So it was good times hanging out with them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just whatever seems appropriate at the time to do. I'm not against doing support sets. The only thing that's kind of shitty about it is, when you get a shorter set, then and your songs are like 9 to 12 minutes on average. If you got like a 45-50 minute set, that kind of limits your set list possibilities. So
Indeed, and
that's kind of a downside.
I'm particularly excited about that Europe tour. We're gonna send somebody out to cover it because it is Baroness Graveyard co-headlining with Pallbearer. Like, well, I already said that's
Yeah,
like the best 1, 2, 3 lineup of the year. I'm getting too old for these like 6, 7 death metal or hardcore shows on a
I can't do
Tuesday
it.
that start at like 9 o'clock. Like, I can't, I physically can't do it anymore. Like, I like to go to a lot of shows. Can they all be 2 or 3 bands? Can they be? They can't all be 3 bands as good as those 3 bands like yours. But can they
Can
be
they start at
like three?
7 and be over by 11?
Kind of like, is it too much to ask? I
That'd be
don't think
so
it's too
silly.
much to ask.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll be a little better for all, if there's a little more time to play and a little more generous setup and breakdown time. I don't know. Just me, just my 2 cents to the world. I don't know
Those super
everything.
late shows are shitty for bands too, because like people have to go to work and shit, So it's like if the show runs till 1 in the morning, like people are like, well, they got to go catch a train or whatever. They got to be up in the morning, go to work. So like if you're still on stage when people are leaving, it's like, well, the headliner plays to half of the crowd. It's kind of discouraging when you're out there deep in it. You're 2 weeks into 3 weeks into tour, and now you're playing to half the size crowd that the direct support was playing. It's just like, damn, why am I here?
I just witnessed this exact scenario play out. Lucky for me personally, I stayed till the end because the show was literally outside, like across the street from my house. But that's
Nice.
rare, and most people don't have that luxury of literally stumbling out and home. But yeah, man, I'm just so excited for the band, and this has been great to pick your brain about all these things. I really appreciate you. Again,
Man.
seen the band for many years. We met before. I think we had one interview a long time ago with Joe. You know, this is really cool, and I think it's a cool time. It's been a really a stellar year for music. I mean, we did 600 reviews last year. I don't even know how for like a volunteer website. We
Whoa.
did 600. We're gonna do less this year, probably by design and partially because we've had some attrition, but some people leave. But yeah, man, like this is already one of my favorite releases personally, and I'm excited to hear these songs live, and I'm excited for you to continue to like whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And yeah, man, keep your head up and be safe on the road, and leave somebody with your van and your stuff, especially in America, but you know I'm sure it's the same for
Yeah.
Europe too.
Oh yeah, we try to keep somebody, or at least back the trailer up to a wall or something, if you can.
Wall, that's a good strategy. Air tags. I keep telling
Mm.
people I'm not an Apple guy, but air tags or some kind of RFID location tracking thing is
I got
actually
air
probably a
tags
good
on
stuff.
everything,
Yeah, yeah,
and I try to stick them in a place where people wouldn't find them too. So it's like,
right.
if even if they're hip to the air tags, like they won't find these.
Word. All right, man. Brett from Pallbearer, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, man. And I just wish you the best of success. This has been a killer time chatting with you.
Yeah, man. Likewise.
All
My
right, you have a
dog says
great.
hi.
Yeah, hey, we love dogs and cats here. Hi to your dog. What's your dog's name?
Yeah. Oh, this is Vinny. And this
Vinny.
is Depot over here. He's
Oh, all right. Tell us some fun facts about your dogs before we go.
former racing greyhounds. So they're former working dogs, and now they've earned their retirement, and they lay on the couch all day. So
We like it. We like it. Good job
they're
there
80
rescuing
pounds
those
to take
dogs.
80-pound shits every day.
Well, that's,
Oh,
yeah,
they're good dogs. Yeah.
of course. All right, man. See ya.
Yeah.
Take
See ya.
care.
Take it easy, man.